So the biggest game of the year, right? On the brightest stage, we all thought we were about to see the coronation of the NFL's next superstar. But instead, whoa, we got a masterclass in demolition. It's an incredible story of collapse, redemption, and a defense that just refused to lose. Let's break down how everything went so wrong for one team and so right for the other.
And yeah, that's a pretty blunt take from former coach Rex Ryan, but honestly, it perfectly captures the story of this Super Bowl. This wasn't just a win, it was an absolute erasure. The Seattle Seahawks defense put on a performance for the ages, one that made the other team's quarterback, no matter who he was, completely and totally irrelevant.
And that's really the big question, isn't it? How did this happen? How did the guy who was the runner-up for league MVP look so completely lost, while a quarterback whose career was basically a running joke played like a seasoned champion? To figure out this upset, we've got to start with the two guys right in the middle of it all. Yeah, it really is a tale of two quarterbacks with two wildly different stories just crashing into each other on the world's biggest stage. On one side, you have the phenom, the golden boy, the guy who was seemingly destined for greatness. And on the other, you've got the journeyman, the guy everyone had written off, just looking for one last shot. And what's so wild here is just how different they are. You've got Drake Maye, the second youngest QB to ever even get to a Super Bowl. I mean, he's the face of the future. And then there's Sam Darnold, the guy famous for seeing ghosts, who bounced from team to team, his career pretty much in shambles. It felt like something out of a movie. But the real director of this whole story, well, he wasn't calling plays for either offense. Because the real star of this show was Seattle's head coach, Mike McDonald. Get this, at just 36 years old, he becomes the third youngest coach to ever win a Super Bowl. And he did it by orchestrating a defensive masterpiece that didn't just slow down a high-powered offense, it completely dismantled it, piece by painful piece. And again, Rex Ryan, he doesn't pull any punches. He called McDonald's game plan a straight-up masterclass. This wasn't just about having good players. It was about having a scheme that was so confusing, so aggressive, and so overwhelming that it left the Patriots with nothing. No answers at all. So, how'd they actually pull it off? Well, you can think of it like a symphony of destruction. First, it started with a dominant front four, guys who could just win their one-on-one matchups. But the real genius was in the deception. He'd use these simulated pressures, making it look like a huge blitz was coming, but then dropping guys back into coverage. It created total chaos. And then, once they were confused, bam, he'd send the house with zero pressures, all-out blitzes. The whole effect? It just sped up that clock in Drake Maye's head until he couldn't think, couldn't breathe, couldn't escape. And for Drake Maye, wow. The game just turned into an absolute nightmare. Every single time he dropped back to pass, every read he tried to make, it was under the most insane pressure he has ever faced in his life. He was a quarterback completely under siege. Just look at that number, 19. 19 times Drake Maye was officially pressured. And on those 19 plays, the Patriots gained a grand total of 24 yards. Let that sink in for a second. This wasn't just a couple of bad plays. It was a relentless, soul-crushing assault that just defined the entire game. And here's what all that pressure actually did. 6 sacks, 3 turnovers. I mean, those are the catastrophic, game-ending plays that decide Super Bowls. Seattle wasn't just making him uncomfortable, they were taking the ball away and killing drives before they even got started. A total QBR of 16. Just to put that in perspective, it's on a scale of 100. So 16 it's beyond bad. It's a total disaster. For a guy who was the runner-up for league MVP, this was the absolute rock bottom of his professional career. And it happened on the biggest stage imaginable. And when you listen to him after the game, you can just hear the toll it took, physically and emotionally. He admitted he'd gotten a pain-killing shot in his shoulder, but he was quick to say it wasn't an excuse. It was just the sound of a completely dejected young star who'd been totally overwhelmed. Okay, but while all of that was happening to one quarterback, the story on the other sideline, it was completely different. It was a story of quiet, calm, and just methodical redemption. Now, to really appreciate what Sam Darnold did, you have to understand the Patriots' strategy. They knew they couldn't win a shootout. Their entire game plan, the one that got them here, was simple. Play conservative, trust your defense, and just wait. Wait for Sam Darnold to be, Sam Darnold.
They were banking on him to make that one huge game-losing mistake. But it never came. In the biggest moment of his entire life, with his opponent literally betting on him to fail, Sam Darnold played the cleanest, most disciplined, mistake-free game of his career. He just refused to give the Patriots the one thing they needed. I mean, this timeline says it all. It's just an incredible journey. From seeing ghosts as a young rattled QB with the Jets, to his career being basically left for dead with the Panthers. And now he's standing on top of the mountain, holding that Lombardi Trophy. It is truly one of the greatest comeback stories this league has ever seen.
Rex Ryan brought up this quote from the great Sugar Ray Robinson, and wow, does it fit Sam Darnold perfectly or what? Think about it. Through all the criticism, all the doubt, all the failures, he had to keep believing in himself, even when literally no one else did. And that belief, that's what got him here.
So what does this all mean? What's the bigger picture here? Well, this victory wasn't just about one game. It feels like Seattle might have just created a whole new blueprint for how to win in the modern, offense-crazed NFL. Because look, while that killer defense was the main story, you still have to score points. And Seattle's plan for that wasn't some gunslinging QB. Nope. It was the Super Bowl MVP, running back Kenneth Walker. Sam Darnold didn't have to be a hero because he could just turn around and hand the ball to an absolute workhorse who controlled the game. And this number, 114, it tells you exactly how they did it. 114 of Walker's yards came from running outside the tackles. The Patriots' entire defensive philosophy is built on setting the edge, stopping that exact play. But in the Super Bowl, they just couldn't do it. And Kenneth Walker, with his amazing patience and burst, made them pay for it all night long. And that's really the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? For the last 10 years, every team in the league has been desperately trying to find the next Sean McVay, the young offensive guru. Mike McDonald, he's something different. He's a defensive mastermind who builds his team on pure physicality and smart, confusing schemes. Seattle didn't copy a trend, they built their own. Which leaves us with one last fascinating question. For the better part of a decade, this league has been all about high-flying offenses and superstar quarterbacks. But after watching Seattle's absolute dominance on the biggest stage, you gotta wonder, did they just remind everyone that the oldest cliche in football might just still be the truest?